Oh man, oh man, oh man, y'all. Whew, what an exhausting day. I've been live already way too much and not even on my own channel. Like, what in the shit? Um Oh man. So this dude Josh, the lab, was just live, still is, as far as I know. Um oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. Um And it's so fun to watch someone's complete and total insecurities just fall apart. Just the tent surrounding the insecurities just it's so much fun. Um I mean, he had to know that I was going to review him. He had to know. And I offered, okay? I offered to have a legit conversation. He acknowledged me many times while he was in his chat, but I offered to have a legit conversation with the dude. Uh and and I realize there's a lot of people on here. I mean, first of all, let me address this. What is the world fucking coming to when I'm on Queen Bee's panel? Someone who it's known that I've never gotten along with. Aside from our past differences, I don't have anything currently against, to be clear, but I can go on that panel and talk to people who already have an issue with me in a chat full of people that already have an issue with me. Not all of them. As Queen said, I have a lot of the same supporters that she has. But we were able to have a productive conversation. Now, regardless of what my opinions are of Queen's opinions, regardless of what my opinions are of anybody else's, I was able to at least have a conversation with them regarding my opinions and regarding my questions. I was able to have that because one thing I can't call anybody who I spoke to today, and especially Queen Bee, as far as today goes, especially today, I should word it that way, especially today. One thing I cannot refer to Queen Bee is a coward. Okay? And my history with Josh is very brief. My history with the lab is very brief. Okay? My history with that channel is they had a call-in show. Fucking Chris McGonough was on there, and they're spinning their usual narrative that Don is responsible for Summer Wells's disappearance, and or Candace is responsible, or both, whichever's most convenient for whatever bullshit they're trying to spin there. Which is really, really interesting because there was one person in that whole chat. One person in that whole chat, and I can't remember their name, unfortunately, but they were nice enough. They were respectful enough to say, I don't think the glare is saying these things that everyone in this chat is saying about the glare. And he's addressing me. And here's the thing. This is how you know that your favorite YouTube creator is a coward, if they are one. This is how you know. If I sit up here, if I'm your favorite YouTube creator and I sit up here and I criticize someone and I address someone who I'm criticizing and who I'm reviewing, and that person shows up in my chat and asks to come up and speak to me, you better believe that I'm going to give them an opportunity to rebuttal whatever it is that I'm saying about them. Because by definition, if I don't do that, well, then that would make me a fucking coward, wouldn't it? So this happened just a little while ago. And I don't even really review this guy, but oh man, he really, really, really said some things that made me go, you know what? Because I wouldn't even be doing this review right now, this impromptu review right now, had he had the balls to simply state his case in a conversation with us, with us, the editorial us, we, those of us who think as though we actually care about evidence and facts.
Words while other words are actually twisted. Now, case in point, I'm starting to hear how great it is for Don and Candace to be so to be so gracious to let their boys stay where they are.
Like, okay, I've been hearing this too. I'm going to address this as well. All right, just to be very clear, I'm going to go ahead and address my opinion on this. For the most part, I've stayed away from this sort of thing. I don't review Don or Candace. I don't use them for content. I never do that. Now, this is for those of you who've never heard of the lab or Josh here. Understand that this is the epitome of a tragedy pimp. Absolutely. He's lower than a tragedy pimp because King Daddy tragedy pimp Chris McDonough, this is his lackey. This is his little do boy who crawls up of Chris McDonough's ass and stays there. And he lives rent free in Chris McDonough's ass. I can guarantee you that. So it's very, very, it's very funny to hear this guy talk about certain things. Now, and I see some people who are maybe Josh supporters in here. Fine, that's cool. I'm glad you're here because I will do nothing but speak fact in regards to what just happened. Guarantee you, promise you that. And I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm going to speak on the things that this douchebag would not give me the opportunity to do so while addressing me. See, this is somebody who is a coward because he hides behind his platform. This is not somebody interested in getting to the truth. This is not somebody interested in learning someone else's perspective on things and entertaining it and possibly even taking an opportunity to educate me on the opinions they have that they feel so much conviction behind, right? Yeah, I don't know anything about this guy personally. Like, please don't throw shit in my chat about this guy. Oh, some girls accused him of this. I don't give a fuck about none of that.
Like, Don and Candace have a friggin' choice. And let's just be honest about that. That's not mean. That's
okay. See, I actually agree with him on this. Okay. I agree with him in the sense that Don and Candace, well, let me say it like this. Don and Candace do have a choice. But if you're subscribed to the narrative that these people are child murderers, okay, well, then you're just not going to see this other side of that. Okay. He's saying Don and Candace don't have a choice of getting their children back. See, they do, because family services, it doesn't matter what state you're in, it doesn't matter what county you're in, you have your family services is exactly that. It's designed to service a family. They're not punishing people by taking their kids away. They're protecting children if that environment is not the best thing for them. And not even if it's the best thing for them. Like sometimes we know that a family's environment, a parent's environment for their children is not always the best place, but those parents have a right to those children. The only way that you get your kids taken away from you by family services, the only way is if you're a danger to those children in some way, shape, or form. And no, their charges don't come with that necessarily. Because I saw this in another chat. People were talking about, well, there would be charges if they were a danger to their children. Why weren't there charges? Not necessarily. Just because a parent, it's not against the law and it's not criminal to not make enough money to feed your children. It's not criminal to do that. It just means you're not fit to take care of the children. So so family services will step in and do what's best for those children. That's what happens. It doesn't mean that they're going to charge you for making bad decisions in life to where you can't provide for your children. They're not going to charge you criminally for that. So what he's not considering is that Don and Candace actually do have a choice of getting their kids back. That choice is to improve on their lives and start making better decisions. It is their choice. They can get on track and say, okay, this is how I lost my kids. I've got to fix this. I've got to fix the mindset that put me in the position to where my kids got taken away from me. They are absolutely capable of doing this. And family services is in the business of making sure that that is an option. That's the first option. Kids belong with their parents. That's how that works. Children belong with their parents. So family services is going to do everything that they can. And as a matter of fact, what they're going to do is they're even going to find, even if it takes a friend of the family to take those kids in, so they don't have to have mouths to feed, because a kid costs money to take care of. Family services knows this. They don't want to blow taxpayer money on taking in a bunch of kids. They're not trying to take your kids away from you and take custody of your children. That's not what family services is trying to do. Their job is to try to keep your family together, but they're not going to do it at the risk of endangering the child. Now, sometimes it does happen because people in family services don't do their jobs correctly or at all. But in most cases, in every case in regards to family services, the objective behind the existence of family service is to make sure that they keep families together and functional, because family is the cornerstone of our entire society. But this is a guy who doesn't know shit about that. He doesn't, so he's sitting there saying that Don and Candace don't have a choice. And how dare Don say, I'm letting my kids stay there, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe he is. Maybe he's given up on being a parent. Maybe he feels so guilty about what happened to Summer, not implying that he had anything to do with it. I'm saying on his watch. Maybe he feels like he failed Summer as a parent. Maybe he feels like on top of that and on top of his other kids being taken away, that he feels like he failed as a parent, and probably feels that the best thing for his children is to be in a more stable home environment. And of course, that's being twisted by somebody who is trying to spin a narrative that this man is responsible for Summer's disappearance. He doesn't know how, he doesn't know what, he's got no evidence to dictate it, but
it's honest. They don't have a choice. There is no choice. The only reason that they've said anything like that is because they got put in a corner. Just like the CPS the day before with the BB guns and stuff that Don, it's like once they're pushed in a corner.
And I want you to keep this in mind. The fact that he's using Don and Candace Wells as content on a constant basis, because this is all his content, by the way. It's always Don and Candace, right? The fact that it's always his content when there's no evidence, and we're going to get into that a little deeper too. Shut up, Cherry. The fact that there's no evidence, zero evidence, there's nothing to indicate what happened to Summer. There's no admission of any guilt or anything. There's absolutely nothing. The fact that he's using Don and Candace as content to bash them on a constant basis shows me that this guy has no thinking skills of his own at all whatsoever, because he doesn't pay attention to evidence. Damn it, Cherry.
So to just say, oh, they're so, it's just awesome that they're no, they don't get that credit. They don't get that credit.
See, and I learned something too by watching his chat. His chat is just full of a bunch of pitchforker dickheads. I mean, seriously, like his chat is, yeah, I realize I'm having a little bit of an issue with internet, but that'll fix itself eventually.
Credit, they don't need that credit. And that's not mean. And by the way, if you think that's mean, shove it, because I'm telling you right now, I'm getting very annoyed with people that do not understand. They don't understand this, and how nobody understands this that defends them is beyond me, but they look right past it. Excuse me. They look right past it every single time.
And is the family still cooperating? I know you said
no. It's not. Like, what he's doing is he's just catering to a bunch of ignorant assholes who just want to jump to some conclusion without any evidence whatsoever, and then it's somehow validated because Chris McDonough happens to be former law enforcement, which I find fucking hilarious.
No, they're not cooperating.
Obviously, we know Dawn's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now.
So they're not.
So this is this guy's entire basis for everything. This is this guy's whole argument is that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson at one point said they're not cooperating and they lawyered up. And almost immediately after that, just maybe a day or two after that, I gave Candace a mic, let her up here because she was in my chat, and I let her up here. And I did not monetize that, by the way, Josh. I did not monetize it, but I let her up here. And she emphatically denied what Ronnie Lawson had to say. She was dumbfounded. She couldn't understand why he would say that, especially with everything that's going on. That's not evidence, because, I mean, you take that into a courtroom. You know what I mean? Like, that's not evidence. Just because Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, being the lead investigator, which he's not the lead investigator, he's the one in charge of the case, because he's the sheriff of Hawkins County, and Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, it's their case. And the TBI and the FBI are only helping with the case until one of them has to take the case over, but there was no reason to. So yes, technically Sheriff Ronnie Lawson is in charge of the case. That's not evidence, just because he said that at one point.
Not cooperating right now. They must be waiting for another day. They must be waiting for another day.
And by the way, the clip that he's playing is from like a year ago, a year and a half ago. That's how old that clip is.
And by the way, if you're fine with that, if you're just going to ignore that, I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm not going to debate you about it. I'm not going to argue with you about it, because that's all I need to know. That's it.
See, that's all he needs to know. Forget about any other evidence, because that's, I mean, fuck a jury, right? Because according to him, a jury would only need that one little piece of what might be considered evidence and not considered evidence. Doesn't matter. That's subjective, whether or not that's evidence. But according to him, that's all he needs to know. He doesn't need to know anything else. All he needs to know is that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson went up there and said some shit. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to try to refresh here so I can get better. All right. That seemed to have.
That's all I need to know. Now, they have YouTube channels. That's cool. Don started a new YouTube channel. Shout out Don on his new YouTube channel. I mean, imagine helping somebody set up a voice for this guy who uses the N-word constantly.
Okay.
Who?
Totally. Do I think that if you're a racist, you're a piece of shit? Totally. 100%. But if I get evidence that you're a racist, one thing that you can count on me not doing is pinning a murder that we don't even know took place on you because I don't agree with your political or whatever ignorant fucking views you have. That has nothing, one has nothing to do with the other, period. So why everyone is talking about, because this is what people are talking about when they're talking about Summer being lost in all of this. This is what everyone is talking about when it comes to that. Summer is lost in this bullshit. And I blame Don just as much as anybody else, because Don keeps on calling into these fucking shows, calling into these YouTube channels. He keeps on feeding the fire, and he doesn't seem to understand that everything that he says is going to get twisted. And every time he loses his temper, people are going to be like, see, look at how unstable he is. See, he doesn't seem to fucking get it. So I think that he's contributing to this problem just as much as anybody else. So I am openly criticizing Don for this. Yes. Do I think that he is guilty of a crime in regards to Summer's disappearance? No. I'm not saying that I think he's innocent. I'm saying I'm not ready to say that because I've never seen any evidence to indicate it. And no, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson stating something that turned out to be untrue, because half of that statement, he's only playing half of that clip. He knows what he's doing because he's only playing the part where he says, no, they're not cooperating. He's not playing the part where Sheriff Ronnie Lawson straight up fucking lied and said that they lawyered up, because they didn't lawyer up. And somebody in his chat was saying Don lawyered up. Don didn't have a criminal lawyer. Don had a criminal lawyer for something completely unrelated because he had he violated his probation. He violated his probation. Of course he had a criminal lawyer. That had nothing to do with Summer.
Who curses incessantly, who's vile, who craps on lives and
fuck, shit, son of a motherfucking god damn it. I guess I'm a child killer. Wow.
And, you know, pretends like it's prison while he's there. Wasn't that the last thing? It surely seems like it, right? It surely seems like it. And, you know, now I'm hearing a lot of stuff about quote unquote Summer's Day. Look, this is really, I just heard about this yesterday, and I'm going to go into that here in a little bit. But how is this even up for debate? You know, I got a comment the other day. Somebody says to me, they say, Josh, enough with the parents. I said, huh? Enough with the parents. There's no evidence against them. There's no evidence against them. Okay, well, okay. What do you mean by that? Well, there's no evidence against them, Josh.
Right.
So you're telling me that the lead investigator, the sheriff of the county that they're in, saying that they're not cooperating is not evidence?
Oi, cunt.
No, it's not.
Has any taking one day off?
And if it is evidence, it's not nearly enough. Not nearly enough for me to accuse someone of doing something horrible to a child, which we don't even know what happened. No idea what happened.
Taking one day off from not cooperating is terrible. Let alone
it's not evidence.
On not cooperating at all. Why do the supporters?
Dude, you know how many times law enforcement searched their property, interviewed them? Do you have any idea how many times? Yet nothing. How many times they've gone on YouTube channels and discussed this shit with people who are trying to crucify them? Like, if they were afraid of something, if they were hiding something and afraid of something coming out, these people would never agree to go on channels like his. Yet they're always going on channels like that. They're always going on channels like, well, at least Don is. So what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Boo, you suck.
Not bring this up. And by the way, if anybody else in the world were to say the N-word the way that Don had, they would be ostracized for the end of the earth. Nope, not evidence at all. Hey, Glare, can you bounce out of here, bro? Like, I don't like you or your chat. You're kind of like a douche sometimes. Not understanding. Like, I turned you on the other day and you were calling me a POS. So I don't know why you're here. The sheriff said that they're not cooperating. Is that enough for you, bro?
No.
Is that enough for you?
Not even close.
Well, what about TBI?
And is the family still cooperating? I know you said obviously we know Don's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now.
Cool. All right. And then what about TBI?
A few months ago, you guys said that the parents were not cooperating anymore. Has there been any changes in that, especially as Don Wells is incarcerated here in this facility?
Yeah.
We're not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't.
See, I love that because he's using that as some sort of proof for his point. But let's hear that one more time. Let's hear the spokesperson for the TBI literally blaming without, well, let's just say that she is alluding that the blame belongs to channels like his and Chris McDonough's. Let's hear it one more time.
At this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation. Cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit.
See, that's how stupid his audience is. Okay? That's how dumb his audience is, because his audience sees that as some sort of reinforcement of his point when it's actually contradicting his point. That TBI spokeswoman just said, we're not going to get into the cooperating or the non-cooperating right now, because all it does is lead to more speculation, which she later on said is the reason why they don't have any credible tips or leads. She said this in that very press conference that he's using as a reference to make his point. She said this. She's basically criticizing channels like his and Chris McDonough. Whether he's former law enforcement or not, it means dick. Because Chris McDonough doing the shit that he does is a contradiction to his own credibility. Because as a former law enforcement agent, you are beyond behaving irresponsibly if you are doing what you're doing and spinning these narratives without any evidence and not encouraging your audience to pay attention to solid evidence before you accuse a family member of hurting a member of their family. It's insane that people don't have this kind of common sense, but it's a lot more dramatic and it's a lot more profitable if you have a shit ton of ignorant motherfuckers in your chat that are just looking to blame someone and ostracize someone and accuse someone of some shit. That kind of drama is much more profitable for them.
And that's actually not fair. The glare actually, to be fair.
And I love this little manipulation tactic that he has going on here. I find that shit fucking hilarious, because keep listening. You'll see what I'm saying.
He wasn't being disrespectful. You don't have to block him. But, I saw your show, like, where you were talking about me and I don't know. Just people that talk about something.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna fucking cry, but shut the fuck
Summer
up.
Wells, or people that talk about people that are talking about Summer Wells are still talking about Summer Wells while collecting super chats.
Again, let me make this point, and let me make it abundantly clear for like the 100th time. I have no problem exploiting those who exploit missing people. I absolutely have no issue with it. As a matter of fact, there's a little part of me that fucking gets off on it. So yeah, I enjoy doing shit like this to people like you.
The same thing that they rail against people on is the same thing they do. The same ones that hate are the same ones that tag along. Play my show, play Chris's show, play anybody's show. Can you believe this asshole? Can you believe this asshole? It's like, shut up. Come on. It is absolute evidence if the lead investigator says that they're not cooperating, how that's not evidence is nuts.
It's not nuts, because you actually heard, you just played the TBI doing damage control on that. You just played it. You just played the spokeswoman for the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, in case you're not aware of what that stands for. You just played the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation spokesperson playing damage control on what the fuck Sheriff Hawkins said to a reporter. Like, what are you, how are you even, this is what's killing me is because this jackass says it, and because he has a chat full of people that just want to believe, you know, he's just gonna he's just gonna play along with it. He's feeding the frenzy. It's a supply and demand. It's your basic supply and demand type situation. The demand is to throw insane accusations at parents because you don't like them, and he's supplying it. Nicole B, thank you so much. Exploit the exploiters. Keep it up. Every fucking time. You better believe it. I'm here to stay, and I'm not going to stop.
Let's just pretend that's not happening. You know, we're going to pretend that that's not happening. That
No.
Law enforcement didn't say that.
So where's the arrest? I mean, this dude was in jail for how many months? I mean, honestly, it escapes me now. Like, how many months was Don in jail? It honestly escapes me. But Don was in jail for a long time. You're going to tell me during that entire time, 11 months, 8 months, 9 months, see, none of y'all know either. So I appreciate you guys shooting guesses though. 10 months. Yeah. Everything is a different guess. Long enough. Okay. Long enough. Don was in jail for plenty of time. You're going to tell me during that entire time, and everybody was saying, oh, this is just a tactic to break Don, right? This is a tactic to break him and get him to admit what happened. Because if he wasn't responsible, then he knows. And here's this dude in jail, never, ever gives law enforcement anything to work with, because otherwise he'd be charged with something else, wouldn't he? Somebody else would be charged with something, wouldn't they? But they weren't. None of those people were ever charged. Nobody was ever charged in regards to Summer's disappearance. So, oh yeah, I know. He's a Chris McDumbass fucking simp. Like the simpest of the simps. It's hilarious. But I love how everyone is like, oh, they take every little thing that Don Wells says and goes, oh, you see what he said right there? Ooh, that's something. And then they turn this mountain out of a molehill of something that Don said, right? It's really adorable, because none of these people ever bother to think that Don Wells doing this and jumping on every YouTube channels that are trying to prove that he is guilty of Summer's disappearance or having something to do with it. He never slips, yet he keeps jumping on people's panels. If Don Wells was guilty, he would not be doing that, in my personal opinion. Now, I might turn out to be surprised later. I might turn out to be proven wrong later. Because just as much of the fact that I don't have any evidence that he's guilty of anything, I don't have any evidence that he's innocent either. All I care about is that Summer is still missing. That's all I care about. But it's really, really interesting to me because, again, I'll continue here before I make this point.
I don't get it. That's awesome. And maybe, you know what? Maybe he's doing that so he can find his daughter. I doubt it. Because I've never seen anything to indicate that. But that is, to me, that is unbelievable that somebody would think that that isn't evidence.
And is the family still cooperating? I know you said obviously Don's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now.
And by the way, so what is this now? Like, we're going to defend admitted, I'm not even going to bring it up, but
But you're bringing it up.
And then obviously an open racist, like a very open racist, which is incredible.
I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not even going to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. Like, bro. I'm not going to bring it up.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Every time, Ice. Thank you, buddy. Ice is always setting it straight.
To me, give him the platform. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I'm not saying, like, I know that there have been people when he goes on there that kick him off and all that stuff, but the justifications. I mean, these are Don's lying about his kids. Don's saying, hey, I'm the one that, I'm the one that decided to give them up. I don't know about that.
Brianna 25, thank you. I've never seen anyone talk as much as he does and ramble as many insane and frankly offensive things as he does while drunk. Who could keep their mouths shut about everything they've done, good or bad? Exactly. Kelsey 206, thank you so much. Thanks for always standing up for what's right, even when it may not be what's popular. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Doesn't seem like it. And, he's sitting there going, well, they're in a better place. I agree with. And Blair, you or anybody else are welcome to do a 3-hour live critiquing everything that I say. You'll never.
Well, thanks, buddy.
Ever catch me doing that, because I don't care about your opinions, your guys' opinions, just the same way you don't care about mine.
Again, dude, like, tell me you don't care about my opinions while whining about my opinions.
Fair is fair, but feel free. That's the kind of content that people like, then good on them.
Well, no, the majority of people unfortunately like your kind of content where you just feed their feeding frenzy. You contribute to their feeding frenzy and accuse people of things without any evidence. Again, supply and demand. You're supplying a product that these pitchforking idiots demand.
I would love to have an actual conversation with you about this, but it's obvious you're only interested in cherry picking snippets of things said.
Right.
Snippets, cherry picking snippets, like, that the parents aren't cooperating. I mean, maybe we can have a conversation.
He absolutely cherry picked the snippets of what was said there, because the other part of that statement was that they lawyered up. That turned out to be not true. Candace can't afford a fucking lawyer. And the only way she's going to get appointed a criminal lawyer is if she's charged with something. Same with Dawn. These people they cannot afford an attorney. Don can't even fucking find work. He does not have a lawyer. So Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, so you are cherry picking snippets of what's being said, because the other part of that statement was that they lawyered up, that they stopped cooperating and they lawyered up. But they didn't. Because that tells me that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson was either lying or simply misinformed and not following up with the facts on a high-profile case. Simple. They did not lawyer up.
About this, maybe we can just, I don't think that's cherry picking. I think
It's
that
absolutely
is
cherry
picking
picking.
apples and then chopping down the whole tree and shoving the tree into the basket. That's what I think it is. But that's okay. We can have a discussion. I don't mind that. But you telling me that I cherry pick is kind of the same thing that you do.
You're lying. And you're a piece of shit.
I don't even, everybody thinks that I hate Don and Candace. I don't.
No, I don't think he does.
What do you think?
I don't think he hates Don and Candace. I want to be clear about my position on that. I don't think that he cares. I don't think that he gives a fuck. I don't think that he gives a fuck about finding Summer, because he's already dismissing Summer as being dead. His entire content revolves around the narrative that these two people did something to Summer and disappeared her, which implies that she's dead. And when you create that narrative and spin that narrative, you destroy any hope that she's going to be found. It's just common sense, which you and your fucking chat clearly lack. This guy does not give a fuck about Summer being found at all, because if he did, he would actually be holding out hope.
Oh, you got it out for him. No, I truly don't. I don't care. I don't care.
Now, once upon a time in true crime, once upon a time in true crime, he's actually saying more positive things about this Summer's Day thing than I did today. I stand by my opinions on it. I think the intention is good, but I don't see any good actually coming out of it, other than just making the people involved feel good. That's all I see coming out of it. And I was able to discuss that with the people who are organizing it. Some of which those people I respect very much, and we agreed to disagree. But I still feel that way.
I just think that Claire, I'll respond to you one more time, and then I'm going to get on with my show, and then maybe we can have a conversation at some point, which I don't mind doing, because I've seen you have conversations and you're a good conversationalist. But let me tell you this: it's not evidence that I have; it's the deception, it's the timeline. Dawn doesn't even know what time he got home, who called 911 at first. I mean,
Don's a fucking drunk genius. Like, how about apply some of the things that you're using to trash his character to the logic behind the conclusions you're drawing. Can you do that? I mean, what is, I don't understand. What's so hard about that? Like, because people like this always do the same thing. On one side of their mouth, on one side of their mouths, Don Wells is a racist, drunken idiot who can't even fucking remember God knows this and God knows that. And then on the other side of their mouth, he's a criminal fucking genius who outsmarted 3 different law enforcement agencies, one of them being federal, and everyone on YouTube. That this guy managed to not slip up once. This guy is like a sieve. You can't even, he's not going to budge because he's such a criminal fucking mastermind. But at the same time, you're going to sit here and trash the guy for not remembering a timeline. Which one is it, dude? Like, pick a road, stay on it. Pick a road, stay on it. Just call me Hin. I mean, when someone, just to be fair here, she's just call me Hin saying, I have a question. Is there proof Don is racist? Even if he is, what does that have to do with Summers being missing? First part of that 2-part question. Yes, in my opinion, there's proof of Don being a racist because he screamed and yelled the N-word in a rage. So yeah, but I agree with you. That has nothing to do with Summer being missing. Absolutely nothing. So why it's even being talked about when speculating about what happened to Summer makes no sense at all.
I mean, it would be asinine to think that Dawn or Candace had something to do with the disappearance of their daughter. I mean, that it would be just totally out of just...
Nobody's saying that.
Complete.
See what I mean? Like, this guy loves to talk about twisting words. This guy loves... Oh, yeah. Here, hold on. Let me... Danielle Chambliss says, those super chats you just got, remember to thank Josh for the content. Oh, I'll do it right now. Thank you, Josh. I mean, if it's not him, it's going to be another fucking idiot tragedy pimp that I'm going to review. But Josh earned my attention tonight because he acted like a coward. Because all of this stuff that he has so much conviction behind, he had an opportunity. I offered to be on his platform. I would have gained nothing from that. I would have put myself in the Shark's tank and had a conversation with him man to man and had this discussion that and made the points that I'm making now. But the difference is he would have had the ability to interrupt me. He would have had the ability to mute me, and he still acted like a bitch of a coward. I mean, if he strongly believes in what he's saying so much, why not defend it with some conviction? Anybody who disagrees with me, I'm going to open the phone line when I'm done here, making my points and showing what a bitch this guy is. I'm going to continue to open my phone line, and that is for anybody, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, to call in and share your thoughts with me and discuss these things. And if you feel so strongly about Don being guilty, then call in. But not just yet. I'm not done with dickhead here. But yeah, thanks for being a douchebag, Josh. And thanks for being a coward.
Completely out of line, right? I mean, that would be completely out of line. Makes no sense. Why would anybody think that they had something to do with the disappearance? Why don't you go ask Candace about the 4,000 flyers that she threw away? You know, ask her about that. Ask her about not wanting to talk to the police the night that Summer went missing. Ask the 10 people that say that exact thing. Ask them why they're all sitting on the end of the bed or the beds of their trucks looking on their cell phones while investigators looked around going, what the hell is going on?
Brianna, thank you so much. Here, have another one because fuck that guy. Appreciate that.
And all I need to hear, and that's it, is they're not cooperating. Their child is missing and they're not cooperating. That's cherry picking?
You big dummy.
Is it really? Oh, that's not cherry picking. It's not cherry picking.
It's absolutely cherry picking.
It's just telling it how it is.
If you're playing half of the statement, literally half of the statement that Ronnie Lawson made, simply because the other half of the statement can be it could be disproven. Like, then yeah, you're fucking cherry picking, homie. Oh, go find me gifted 5 memberships. Congrats to Jay Brimmel, CR, Cherry. Ah, goddamn, you wasted a membership on Cherry. Limey the Dumpster Squirrel got one though. That makes up for it. Right on.
Not one law enforcement agent said it, but 2 law enforcement agents have said it.
No, the other
That's
one,
it, man. Like I don't.
I love that he's playing that other clip as if he can't hear. Like, are you fucking deaf, dude? Just because they refuse to answer the question about that was a clear indication that they refused to answer on whether or not the family was cooperating to play cleanup on what Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said to a reporter. Thank you so much, bros babble. Flab sucks. Go listen to his words on the grab if you want to talk about evidence. All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't know how more suspicious could you be? How more suspicious could you be? None. And by the way, he's not really interrupting.
I mean, what makes me suspicious, the only thing that I'm suspicious of Don and Candace of is being careless. And take that to whatever level you want. But the fact of the matter is that Don and Candace have done nothing but prove they're careless. That doesn't make them murderers. It doesn't make them murderers. I mean,
interrupting the chat or anything. I mean, he is making comments that are towards the conversation. So I get it. Totally fine. You know, fair's fair.
Bro, mute your mic, dude.
And Bob, I heard this just recently too. Parents that have any sense at all don't allow their kids to play on the roof. I mean, why does he keep adding to this? Why does he keep saying just this? I mean, is it on purpose? Is Don legitimately doing this on purpose? Like trying?
I would have to I heard something about that, but I didn't hear the context in which Don said something about playing on the roof. So I can't debate that here right now. I honestly can't because I don't know. I don't pay attention. This is the thing is I don't fucking pay attention. I stopped paying attention to Don Wells on YouTube channels fucking a year and a half ago. I take everything that Don Wells says with a grain of salt, to say the least, with a grain of salt. Because Don Wells has done nothing but get drunk on YouTube channels and fucking spew out a bunch of fucking nonsense, and then or just get mad and start cussing people out because he's frustrated. But what that tells me is that this guy is just pissed off about the way people are talking about him. If I was, dude, if I murdered my child who everyone is talking about, I would avoid YouTube altogether. I would absolutely fucking avoid it. I would not get drunk up there. And if I did get drunk, guaranteed I'm going to slip up. And in the heat of my anger, because the impression that I get from Don Wells is that in the heat of his anger, when he's screaming and yelling and cussing people out, if he did something, he would be like, fuck you, I did. I don't have to fucking answer to any of you motherfuckers. Who the fuck are you? That's the kind of guy Don comes off to me as. No, Don's not a. I'm sorry. No disrespect to. I realize that I'm having. I hate disrespecting the parents of a missing child. I hate doing it. But the fact of the matter is Don has brought the criticism on him onto himself. Not the blame for what happened to Summer. Not that. Nobody deserves that, especially without any evidence. But the criticism of his own character, he has brought that on himself. He did that to himself. There's no denying that. Sorry if you disagree with me, but the facts are facts. You don't get hammered, drunk, and then get physical with your wife, and then get hammered, drunk on another occasion, and then cuss some lady out, and then get hammered drunk on another occasion, and then call a bunch of people the N-word. Like, that's not the behavior of somebody who deserves any credibility. Sorry, it's not. But it's not evidence that he did anything to his daughter. It just simply isn't. I mean, did he take a shit on a live stream? Yeah. This guy's going to let everybody know that he's dropping a deuce, but at no point is he going to slip about what happened to Summer if he was responsible.
I don't understand.
Like, again, like, I don't care that he dropped a deuce on a live stream. Again, that's, I mean, it's funny. It's fucking funny, but it's not evidence that he did anything to his daughter.
I don't understand. Is it not obvious to anybody else with no future updates, with no signs of an abduction?
Okay. See, I love that. I love that he's going to sit there and say there's no evidence of an abduction, even though there's no evidence that Don or Candace did anything to their child. But he's going to bring up the lack of evidence that there's an abduction. I love that shit. This is what I'm talking about here. This is when I say cherry picking. So you get to say evidence and a lack of evidence as long as it feeds your narrative, right? But if it doesn't, then you get to say that something else is evidence when it's not evidence. And you get to cherry pick partial little details, partial little snippets of what was said to spin your narrative and call that evidence, even though it's not. It's doctored evidence to feed your narrative.
I find that strange. And then now the roof, what the hell's that about? The only reason this stuff is coming out is because it's being forced out. And
You
he
need
denies
to
it all
shut
the way to the
the
end. I mean, the
fuck
other night he sat up on my channel. By the way, I was very respectful to him. We had a decently conversation. We had a decent conversation. It wasn't a great conversation. It was an okay conversation. I didn't like it that much. But what he was saying was things like, you know, I don't want to mess this up for the boys. They're doing really well. They're this, they're that, they're this, they're that. And like, I'm not really that like convinced that they're these parents that want the best for their children. I mean, maybe they do. I find that hard to believe. I find that really, really hard to believe. But to make it seem like, well, you know what? We're going to let them stay because they're with people. Dude, to act like you have a choice is so disingenuous and it's so misleading.
It's not, though, because he does have a choice. He has the choice to fight for his children. He's choosing not to. This is a guy who, for whatever his reasons are, I'm not defending it. I'm honestly not. Because a lot of you are like, well, I mean, he's a piece of shit if he doesn't fight for his kids. Okay. Or maybe he's just so fucking down on himself to where he's just completely and totally he's given up on any idea that he's worth a shit and feels that his kids are where they belong. Maybe he actually loves his kids and to the point to where he can actually see that he's probably done them more harm than good, and now they're happy where they are and they don't want to come home, and he's respecting that. It's not saying that I'm making the choice that I'm not getting them back. He's saying I'm making the choice that I'm just not going to fight for them. I'm going to let them be where they're at. I mean, it's not exactly the same comparison, but I had a cat. I had a cat that I loved more than anything in the world. This cat practically saved my life. Okay. Told the story about Clyde on this channel before. And I ended up in a very, very, very low place that I talked about, and I had to give up my cat. And my cat ended up with a family that is friends with another family member of mine. And they have provided my cat with a good home and my cat has brought joy to this family, to the children, to the people there who run the house. Now I'm perfectly capable, and these are good people. If I wanted my cat back, they'd give back my cat, but they would be heartbroken. And it would make me a piece of shit to take my cat back from the people who took him in and have gotten so much joy from what that cat has brought into their household. It would be totally selfish of me because I lost my opportunity. I let my cat get close to another family and let them love and care for him and develop a love for him. That it would be selfish of me to just come along all of a sudden. Well, I couldn't take care of him before, but now that I can, I'm taking them back. No. That would make me a piece of shit. That would make me a selfish prick. If my cat's happy and the kids that have the cat are happy, I'm not going to break those kids' hearts. I know what kind of joy my cat can bring people. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how happy my cat made me. I can't take that away from some kids, you know? The only people that are going to appreciate the love of that cat more than me are a couple of good-hearted kids. I'm not going to take my cat away from those people because all of a sudden now when it's convenient for me, I'm just going to take them back. You took care of them all this time, but now I'm good. So I want the cat. That's fucking wrong. That is just a sacrifice that I'm going to have to live with. I made bad decisions. I got in a low place. I fucked up. Couldn't take care of my cat anymore. I'm paying the consequence. I'm just grateful that he has a loving home where he's being loved and taken care of properly. Simple. Simple. I mean, maybe Don is just simply taking responsibility for the fact that he had maybe Don spent 9 months in jail, or for however long it was, spent 9 months in jail thinking about how he got there and what choices he made and what the fuck did I do? And is now thinking of oh wait, hold on a second. And is now thinking not selfishly. Because it's got to be heartbreaking for a good person to realize, fuck, my kids are actually happy without me. That's got to be heartbreaking. And it's got to put a toll on somebody. But people don't want to hear that. People don't want to believe that Don Wells is actually somebody who is capable of empathy. Don Wells is somebody who is capable of self-awareness to a certain degree, and realizing he made bad decisions that affected his kids' emotions in a very negative way, affected their well-being in a very negative way. And he sees and hears about the difference in their lives now, and it being an improvement from what he could provide for them. And now he's not thinking selfishly, and he's thinking of the fact that his kids are happy. Now, what he chooses to do after that, whether it's I'm going to change my ways and I'm going to try to win the love and affection of my kids back, or I just decide maybe I'm not a fit parent. But that's his decision to make. It's his decision to make. Regardless of that, the fact remains that he is acknowledging that he's not fit to take care of those boys right now, which is none of your fucking business. And it damn sure isn't Josh's or anybody in his chats.
And for people to run with that narrative, like to say Don gave up his parental rights because for the love of his children.
Yeah. Why is that so hard to believe?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Of course.
I mean,
of course you don't, because what it does is it shows that Don is capable of self-awareness and empathy and actually putting his children first. Now, the timing might suck, but nevertheless, that's the case here. So you don't want to believe that because it contradicts your narrative that he's a narcissistic, sociopathic piece of shit that would murder his own child. It absolutely contradicts that narrative. So, of course, it's not convenient for you to believe that, so you're not going to believe it.
I wish I did, but I don't. And I think that's okay. Like, I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to agree.
Okay, the fact is, though, is the fact that you're making it the topic of conversation, the topic of content on your channel shows that you don't give a fuck about Summer, because it's completely irrelevant to the Summer Wells investigation. 100% irrelevant. Makes no difference. Doesn't matter. Has nothing to do with Summer at all. Does nothing to help find her.
Agree with anybody. The way that I feel is the way that I feel, and I can't help about that. And this whole thing, I got somebody said the other day, this we're talking about Summer's Day, right? Like, it's become this major controversy.
That would actually validate Chris P. Bacon. That would actually validate to some degree why he's up here trashing Don. Because if he doesn't believe that Don did anything to Summer, what the fuck's he talking about him for then? Why is he tagging Summer's name? Explain me that. Explain to me that. Is it just a hate campaign towards the parents of a victim? So don't sit up here and defend Josh saying he never said Don murdered her, but he's sure as shit implying it, isn't he? Because why is he talking about Don otherwise? What would be the point of talking about Don Wells? Oh, so you're accusing another person who there's even less evidence against, right? That he covered it up. Are you fucking kidding me with that? You're going to tell me this dude spent 9 months in jail and never slipped? He's not even with her anymore? And he never slipped any information that tipped the cops off? God, man, you fucking people that follow this narrative are so goddamn thick. You only pay attention to the stuff that feeds your narrative. You will flat out refuse to listen to anything that might counter your narrative, that might counter your narrative that these people are these horrible murderers. It's ridiculous, dude. What do you mean, why would he slip? Because according to people like you, he's too fucking stupid to even remember a timeline, right? He's too fucking stupid to even remember what time he got home from work that day, right? But somehow that makes him suspicious. So, like I said, either on one side, it's always, on one side of your mouth, you're saying he's too fucking stupid to keep up with his story. And then on the other side of your mouth, you're claiming that he's a fucking criminal genius who helped cover up the perfect fucking crime and fooled the FBI, the TBI, the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, and every person with any sense covering this case. Get real, dude. Get fucking real. I love this. You'd love to see my rap sheet? I'd love to see your rap sheet or a member of your family's rap sheet. And then I'd like to know about somebody who they might know who went missing. And so I could sit here and just because they have a rap sheet, I could sit there and create a narrative that they're fucking guilty of that person going missing. Yes, Chris B. Bacon, you're absolutely right. I am angry. This makes me angry. Absolutely, it makes me angry. Because this is a guy talking to 1,000 people right now, feeding their pitchforking attitude and mentality against people that there's no evidence against. God forbid, Chris P. Bacon. God forbid, Chris P. Bacon, that somebody that you love goes missing. Because guess what? Even though you're being a dickhead in my chat, when people accuse you of having something to do with that, and there's as much evidence against you as there is against Don or Candace, I'm going to be up here defending you the same way. Whether I like you or not, whether or not I think you're a piece of shit or not, I'm still going to do it. No, again, my monetization is not off because I like to exploit the exploiters. That's what I do here. It's fantastic. And like I said, I kind of fucking get off on it. Makes me happy. Makes me happy. Makes me feel good about myself, all warm and fuzzy. That I fucking call out shitbags like this idiot.
See. Summer's Day. Okay. I guess that I can see why some people or why people would feel like it's off-putting. I can see it. I understand that. But I don't.
Just for the record, this dude right here, this guy of all people, defending this Summer's Day thing, it's not a good look. Just saying. If this is the kind of person that's defending it, it's a bad look. Just saying.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, here's the thing. If these strangers or these YouTubers or whoever, TikTokers, Instagrammers, whatever, I don't know who it is. I don't know who's doing it. But if they weren't, is anybody?
Smoking Unicorn, thank you so much. We are angry. A child is missing and people care more about our parents' messy drama. Y'all are literally trash for that. Love you too, Blair. Thank you so much. Well said. I appreciate that.
Anybody else? Is anybody else doing it? Don, Candace, are they doing it remembrance? Are they doing anything for Summer's 2-year missing mark?
What do you think would happen?
Who else?
Let's talk about that for a second. What do you think would happen? With all this guy has 1,000 people watching him live. That's just the people catching it live. That's not to mention the people who catch the replays and are totally convinced that these people are child murderers. What do you think there are risks of if everyone happens to know exactly where Don and or Candace are going to be in a neutral area, in a public place? What do you think is going to possibly happen? So I love this, making it seem like Don and Candace are somehow pieces of shit because they're not attending one of these fucking, no, Nicole B, we don't bop people here. We just tear them up. we don't bop them. I mean, if you're going to come in my chat and you're going to talk shit, you're going to be subject to your comments being criticized. I mean, that's how it is. But what do you think would happen if Don and or Candace showed up? Thank you, Kelsey 206, and thank you, Chris P. Bacon. Appreciate it. What good would come of that? Because in my opinion, these things happening is already perpetuating the circus that this guy is a part of. Regardless of how good the intention is, I went over this. We went around in circles while I was on Queen Bee's panel. I talked about it when I was live earlier today on this channel. But when we're talking about the circus that the Summer Wells case has become, like this guy who's not contributing jack shit to Summer being found, only just throwing empty accusations at people with no evidence. I mean, people doing this, it's going to perpetuate that circus. And it's beyond, I mean, it's beyond their efforts. You know, that was my point of everything that I was saying. It's beyond their efforts. Regardless of what their intentions are, regardless of how kind their hearts are in their efforts to do this, it's not going to do anything helpful overall. And then the safe way to go is, well, if we just reach that one person, okay, but is the damage that comes with it, does that outweigh the good that comes from that one person being reached? And that's a debatable point. I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying it's a debatable point. It would take a lot more than just a conversation with people on a panel, one conversation with people on a panel for me to come to that conclusion. My argument is the risk. Because they could go out there and do this thing and then it just turns out to be the sweetest, nicest day in the world. But I still think it's just going to bring more drama than any good. That's my personal opinion. And maybe, yes, maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm a pessimist. That's fine. Maybe I'm just a fucking flat out asshole for thinking that. That's fine. But that's how I feel. Because this is what the Summer Wells case has turned into. Thanks to dickheads like this and his buddy Chris McDonough, mostly. Mostly because of them.
Is doing it. Who else? Don and Candace leading the way. They're gonna do a balloon release.
See,
Yeah, you know, I mean,
that's just not true. And this is a dude speaking on something that he doesn't know anything about and relying on his dickhead chat that that is already spinning a false narrative. That already is totally invested in the idea that Don and Candace are guilty people. So they're spreading misinformation. See, the difference between what he's doing and what I did is I actually sought out questions. I asked questions because I was trying to get to the bottom of it, because I know that those people doing it are good people. But I was trying to get to the bottom of what good is it going to really do versus the harm. Are they being invasive to that community? Are you know, to that local community by showing up? I mean, think about that for a second. What does that tell you if the people who truly love and knew Summer before she went missing, if they've decided to do a virtual prayer vigil? if they're even like, we don't even want to risk any shit happening. We don't want this to interrupt our tribute to Summer. What does that tell you if the people who actually love and cared for Summer before she went missing and knew her, what does that tell you if they're doing something that's virtual? Simply to avoid any type of drama or things that may or may not take place. It's because they don't want to bring that shit to their community. They want everybody to feel safe, and they just want to celebrate the idea of Summer in peace. I think the whole celebration of Summer is just fucking weird, but I mean, what's to celebrate? To me, it's just fucking weird. I mean, what's to celebrate? Now, I can think of something to celebrate. Which is that Summer has a church community that has not forgotten her. Why not just be supportive of them and that's it? Why not follow their example? They know their community.
So why are we mad at people that I'm guessing some have fine intentions? And I'm guessing that some...
I think they all have great intentions. I still stand by that. I truly believe that. But I think that it's just... I think overall, at the end of the day, it's not doing Summer more good than it's doing themselves more good. To tell themselves that they're doing something in Summer's name. That's personally how I feel about it. That's just my opinion. And that's not to say anything negative about them. It's just, we all go through this. You know what I mean? But, some might be saying, well, Glare, what are you doing to help Summer? Well, I'm not claiming that what I'm doing here helps Summer. But one could argue that by me using my right to speak out to trash people who are exploiting Summer, at least may help to some degree, maybe not much, but to some degree, the investigation that goes into finding her. Because this kind of shit is counterproductive to the investigation of what happened to Summer Wells. Because the TBI has said so publicly. Now, is it actually helping? I don't fucking know. I don't know. But I know I'm not doing that shit. And I know that when it comes to actions, I know that I want to be supportive of the law enforcement agencies that are charged with the responsibility of finding Summer. And I want to be supportive of the community that actually knows Summer and interacted with her before she went missing. Those two things are what I'm concerned about. As far as me, as far as what navigates my actions and what not to do.
Don't. I mean, that's just kind of how the world works. But who else is going to remember summer and you know, they're not celebrating somebody.
See, this guy's not even acknowledging the community that Summer already has. He's not even acknowledging them.
Stealing Summer. That is a twist on words like I've never heard. That's a twist on words that I have never heard.
Dude, this guy is the worst fucking mouth breather, bro.
And yeah, I really can't keep up with it. It does seem like the chat is pretty distracted by him, which is okay. I mean, if it's a little too much, I think, I don't know.
He wants to tell them to block me so bad, but he knows it's going to make him come off like a coward. It's really adorable. It's really funny. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, fuck. If I block him, then it proves that I'm a coward and I can't face the things that he's saying. He's not being disrespectful, so I don't have an excuse to boot him. What do I do? Because I don't have the balls to actually address what he's saying. Whoa, what do I fucking do? Oh my God, I don't know what to fucking do. Somebody help me. Somebody help me.
I mean, he's going to argue with, 700 people or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to go very well.
Yeah. That right there is what you would call evidence. Evidence that I actually have conviction behind my beliefs and my opinions. Because yes, I am more than willing to argue with 700 fucking people because I believe in what I'm saying that much. You're not even willing to have an argument with one person.
But listen, if Don and Candace aren't going to do it, why do people have a problem with others doing it? Why?
Dude, imagine the shit show if Don and Candace are at a point now where they can't fucking win. And it's their own fault. Not completely, but they've contributed to it vastly. It's their own fault. Because at this point, no, they cannot go and hold a peaceful vigil after the things that they've said and done on live streams. They can't do it and be taken seriously without getting a mob of people to criticize them, or even for them to feel like their physical well-being isn't threatened to some degree. So no, the luxury of being able to go to a public place and hold a vigil for their child has been pissed away. They can't do it now. Too much has been said and done. Can't unring the bell. It's all happened. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, people. Yeah, no, you're all here. Just remember, you're subject to criticism. You're subject to criticism from my chat, from me. You're all welcome here.
Why is everything like I see these channels that talk about, and I'm telling you, the channels that talk about people that are talking about Summer are still talking about Summer, and they're making it seem like that's not what they're doing, when in fact that's exactly what they're doing. It's like we're one layer separated. So,
you see the manipulation tactic here, and it's not very good. It's not very effective, but it's clear that he's trying to be manipulative. It's really funny. He's saying that by me reviewing him talking about Summer, that I'm still talking about Summer and I'm still doing the same thing that he's doing. No, what I'm doing is I'm trying to educate people as to this is what's productive and this is what isn't. Simple. Simple. You never see me unless there is a development in some way, shape, or form of this case that has been made public by law enforcement. Unless there is a development in this case, you will not see me cover it and talk, and you will not see me talk about the Summer Wells case and hashtag her name. You'll never see me do that.
Tragedy pimps talk Summer Wells. Everybody come in here and let's talk crap about the people that are having Dawn.
Look, he's feeling some kind of way about it. He's feeling some kind of way about it.
Or Candace on your show.
Am I getting to you? Am I getting to you? Am I getting to you?
Is no different than what I do. None of it. None of it is different. And it's laughable to think that it is. It's not. It's not different. It's the same friggin' thing.
No.
You just don't like how people are covering it or how they feel about it.
No. What I don't like,
or how we.
What I don't like is misinformation spread on real people who have been, who are involved in a situation that is very public. I don't like misinformation spread, and I don't like people being accused of things without any evidence. And that means anybody, somebody who I can't fucking stand. If I see people are accusing them of things, I've defended Dolly. I think Dolly fucking sucks. I think he's a bitch's bitch. But when people make these baseless accusations against him, I'm going to defend that. I'm going to go, wait a second. I'm going to defend him. And I'm going to say, wait a second. I need to see evidence. That's a hell of a thing to accuse somebody of. Just because he's a piece of shit doesn't make him a rapist. Just because Don's a racist doesn't make him a murderer. There's no difference. There's no difference. When it comes to true crime, these are real people involved. And there's always that excuse. There's always that, hey, well, you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. No, again, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unring the bell. You already fucked up. You already put that shit out there. The damage is done. Don lost his job. Don can't find work anywhere near his home. He had to move to another fucking state to live his life. So now I'm not even saying that he doesn't deserve it. I'm not even saying that. But he sure as fuck doesn't deserve it if it's based on false accusations that you have no evidence of. Like if word got out, like if an employer saw footage of Don saying the N-word over and over again, and that employer goes, dude, you can't work for me. You got to get the fuck off my site. Don brought that onto himself. He brought that on himself. But that day that these idiots, Battery Betty, MGL, all of these people showing up and getting him fired based on the reasons that they showed up, him getting fired based on those reasons? No, Don didn't deserve that. If he brought it on himself, then he brought it on himself. But there's no evidence that he brought that onto himself. That's just a bunch of crazy ass fucking people looking for YouTube content and decided to jump on a bandwagon because there's a demand for people falsely accusing these people of a crime that we don't even know took place.
Feel about it, but it's the same thing. Talking about, I'm going to talk about the people that talk about Summer Wells.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I've got that. Yeah. If Chris McDonough told Flab to say Don is innocent, he's going to say that. Exactly. He's a fucking Chris McDonough simp. This guy has no balls. This guy's got no balls. None.
Why? Well, because, it draws a crowd. That's what people want to hear about. And by the way, that's what this audience on this channel is focused on right now. That's why I talk about it. Because I hear asshats all over the place talking about, and by the way, that's what this audience on this channel, people that talk about Summer Wells. Like, what? Why? Well, because, it draws a crowd. That's what people want to hear about. And by the way, that's what this audience on this channel is focused on right now. That's why I talk about it.
You hear him just admit it, right? He doesn't have any conviction behind what he's saying. He sees that everyone else has this opinion. And so if he speaks clearly enough with a good enough microphone, saying the things that he sees in his chat out loud, getting their validation, well, then that's why he's doing it. He just said so. That's what everybody's talking about. So that's why I do it. Let's hear that one more time.
What? Well, because, it draws a crowd. That's what people want to hear about. And by the way, that's what this audience on this channel is focused on right now. That's why I talk about it.
The audience is focused on it. That's why he talks about it. This is one of those people like BHB who can't even keep up with his own bullshit. Doesn't even know when he's bullshitting. Bullshitting, and he doesn't even know when he's doing it. Can't even keep up with his own bullshit.
Because I hear asshats all over the place talking about, Don's just misunderstood when he blurts the N-word and, screams at women, calls them the C word.
There's no misunderstanding about screaming the N-word. Now, it's common, unfortunately, for people in rural parts of Tennessee to use that word, but it's also common for people in rural parts of Tennessee to be racist as fuck, because I live here. So I'm not defending Don. I mean, you ought to know better. If you're screaming that word in the heat of anger, it's like, I see you, dude. I see you, dude. Like, let's just fucking keep it real. Let's just fucking keep it real. Because I haven't heard anybody defend Don out loud defend Don for saying the N-word. I haven't heard anybody do that.
Candace literally said that Don punched her on live. Like, she said it. So you got,
who the fuck is Daisy? I never even fucking heard of Daisy.
Punched in the throat. And we're going to make excuses for this guy? And by the way, has anybody noticed this whole transformation of Dawn going, now Dawn's on this thing where it's like, Dawn's on this thing now where he's saying, I know that it looks bad.
Yeah, and by the
I know
way,
that it looks bad.
I use the C word plenty. The C word being cunt. But I don't discriminate. I call men cunts, I call women cunts. I don't care. If you're being a cunt, you're being a cunt.
You're a little cunt.
Just saying.
And I'll tell you this. If my daughter was missing, I don't have a daughter. But I would never say that if I didn't have anything to do with it. What do you mean it looks bad? My daughter's not here. My daughter's not here. Of course it looks. What do you mean? I know how it looks. How does it look? Tell me how it looks. I would, if I had nothing, I would never say that. Just like there's a million things that Dawn has said that I wouldn't say. And I'm sure that there's going to be other channels that hop on and they critique what I'm saying because that's how they cover the Summer Wells case and in their mind justify them not covering it. And because they
see, there's no reason to cover the Summer Wells case at this point, unless you never have. Like, I understand, okay, well, hold on. Let's go over everything in regards to the Summer Wells case. Everything that's relevant anyway. Excluding all of the hearsay, excluding all of the bullshit, the rumors, just the facts, only the facts. I understand that. LCS, you could LCS, you can say it here. It's okay. Most of my like my even most of my mods are British. Like, it's accepted. It's okay. You don't have to spell it out. CUNT what? You can say cunt. It's okay.
because they want to support Dawn and Candace, which they're all by all means, please do. That's how they rationalize in their mind. That's how they rationalize in their mind that it's fine if they do it that way. Wow, just do it. Talk about it. It's all right. You're allowed to talk about whatever you want.
Agreed.
But why would you?
Agreed. You can absolutely talk about whatever you want, but just know that you're subject to criticism. Just like Bullhorn Betty says, well, I'm exercising my First Amendment rights and you're trying to trample them. No, I'm not. I'm just exercising my First Amendment right to talk about how what you're saying is bullshit. That's all I'm doing. I mean, yeah, one more time here. One more time.
Oi, cunt.
Because there's a whole group, a whole subsection of true crime haters. True crime.
See,
and Glare, while you're here, I'm going to ask you this.
We'll get to that in a second. But notice, like, I never whine about haters. You never hear me whine about haters on this channel, dude. Ever. Because I just accept the fact that I'm going to piss some people off. I mean, I don't whine about haters. When I hear creators whine about haters, it tells me so much about them.
This 1 second. Why would you stream the entire trial of Gannon? I never understood that. Why anybody does that kind of stuff. I really don't. I don't get.
Oh, you mean actually have a true crime channel and actually talk about relevant and cover relevant true crime events? That you don't understand why anybody would do that? Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? Think about that for a second. You don't understand why anyone would cover a significant event in true crime. Incredible.
Well, he can't outsmart me because I'm a moron.
I don't get it. Like there are actual channels that cover complete trials that like have lawyers and professionals on there.
Yeah, like part of what like due process is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich.
I'm not saying just you. There's a bunch of people that do it. I never understood that. I think that's like.
You mean like credible true crime creators? Like that?
I think that's weird.
Of course you do.
I never understood why people do that.
Where do you get these fucking idiots, huh?
Where do you get them? Does everybody turn off their monetization for that? Does everybody turn off their super chats for that?
Of course not.
No?
Of course not. Why would you turn off your monetization if you're a true crime channel and you're actually covering fact-based true crime content? Why? That's not tragedy pimping. That's following justice in the justice system taking place. That's providing your viewers with fact-based content on something that they feel passionate about. I followed the Gannon Stout case from the beginning. From the beginning. I mean, and if my viewers want to support my covering this, because I mean, I don't want to sound like BHB. I think that sucks, but it's not because I refuse to call this work. I refuse to call this work, but some people feel like, holy shit, this dude is sitting there for 8 fucking hours every day, 4 days out of the week, consistently covering this trial, sitting through it live for 8 hours, 4 days out of the week. Let me shoot him a little something to show appreciation for him doing that. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like that's a very kind gesture from someone to show their support. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever the content is, it doesn't matter. If that person is dedicated to that content and it's not misinformation and it's not victimizing anybody and it's showing actual empathy and you're engaging with some care as to how you deliver the information to some degree, then if people want to show you appreciation for it, then the option is there. That's why we are monetized YouTube channels, because the option is there. I'll never come up here and beg for money. I don't care how hard up I am for money or how broke I am. I will never come up here and beg for it. It'll never happen. I don't feel entitled to any of the support that I get. I am merely grateful for it. I don't sit up here and go, oh, well, fuck, man, I should have more fucking subs. And all right, people should be super chatting me more because I'm up here speaking the truth. I don't feel entitled to it. I simply feel grateful that people appreciate it in whatever way they choose to. I'm just as grateful to anyone sitting up here who types in my chat, Glare, thanks for doing this. Without any money involved, I'm just as grateful that I have people that I can share these things that I feel passionate about with. I love that. I'm grateful for how much my channel has grown. I've never done anything to manipulate more subscribers or more views. I don't clickbait. I don't do these things. I try to provide a better quality content. If you feel like you want to show appreciation based on my efforts, then great. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But a simple thank you in the chat or a simple what's up, Glare? Glad to be here is just as appreciated as a $50 super chat. And that's the God to honest truth. I love being a part of this community and sharing my opinions with you. And for some reason, you guys like to hear me babble on and on and on. And since I like to talk, it works out for everybody. And I'm just grateful to be able to have this. And I realize that at any given time, I might just become boring and you know, and nobody gives a shit anymore. And that's fine. I'm just grateful that that my diehard supporters don't see me that way just yet. But it could happen any day, and I accept that, and I understand that. Reluctant Healer, thank you. Glare, thanks for doing that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, this isn't work, Sheila. This is not work. Don't ever call this work. Like some creators, what they're doing is work. You know, I would consider it work. But what I do, I wouldn't consider it work. I love this too much to consider it work. Cheesy Wheezy, member for 4 months. I still can't believe Josh said that. Haha, idiot. I know. Calamity Jade, thank you so much. Well, we love everything except BHB and slow-mo. Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. I'm going to have to manage that more carefully. It just makes me laugh hysterically. But I need to be a little bit more considerate of you guys when I do these things. But it just makes me laugh. Hearing BHB in slow-mo just makes me giggle.
No, you get paid ad revenue. Is that what you guys do? Okay, well, that's cool. Weird, huh? I don't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm streaming any trials here.
Yeah, God forbid you actually stream content that actually has facts, because this is the irony of what he's talking about. Because he's like, fuck that. I'm not streaming a trial. That's crazy. That's where you get all the indisputable facts. That's where it's actually proven or disproven when something is actually fact or not. Why would you stream that? That's insane. That's crazy. What? Really? I love it. Oh my God, bro.
I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot.
Just calm down, Josh. It's okay, buddy. Relax. I mean, we know you're a fucking idiot. You just don't need to harp on it, buddy.
It's weird. I wouldn't do it. I don't know. It's not my fault. He's not the only one that does it. There's other people that do it.
Yeah, you know, like credible
I wouldn't.
creators. I know you would.
And by the way, not because I think that like it's some immoral thing, but I do think that it is immoral to call people out for the same exact stuff that you do. Blair, all I want to know is, did you turn off your monetization?
No, I didn't. But see, here's the difference between me and you. You're monetized for spreading misinformation. I'm monetized for providing actual provable information. See the difference? The moral dilemma that you're discussing, that's it right there. You're just completely fucking unaware. Kelly Green, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you. That's the moral dilemma. You're monetized for spreading misinformation. People support me because I actually give valid, credible information. See, you see how that works, homie? See how it works? I know it's difficult.
So how did you like that?
Loved it. I want to ride that horse again sometime. Ooh, yeah.
Wow.
My God, Josh, calm down, buddy. Calm down.
That's it. During that trial. Did you run ads during that trial? That's it. That's all I'm curious about.
Totally.
And like I said, it's not just you. A lot of people do it.
Lisa,
there's an audience.
Suck it, Josh.
For all different people. I agree with that. I don't really do panels like that, like just spur of the moment panels typically, but you know.
Okay. I love this because I was like, I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to have a conversation with you about this because here you are hiding behind your chat and because he's already told his chat to let me be so I can express my opinion. Yet I was timed out like 4 or 5 times and I was in no way disrespectful. I simply asked him, hey, if you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. I mean, if you feel so fucking secure in your content and your opinions with so much conviction, why wouldn't you invite me onto your platform where you have home field advantage, to say the least, because you've got a chat full of people with pitchforks ready to lynch Don and Candace, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're so fucking sure about the narrative you're spinning, why wouldn't you let me up there and you could make a complete and total fool out of me? But you didn't. You acted like an utter coward. I mean, you acted like the yellow gut of a fucking slug.
And by the way, I've been accused by Dawn of possibly being the one, that took Summer. Dawn said that to me.
I mean, now he's fucking whining. Well, I was accused by Dawn of doing something to Summer. Like, let me tell you something. Dawn is perfectly justified at this point of accusing you and other assholes like you of anything he wants. Since you guys take it upon yourself to do it to him, why is he not justified in doing the same to you? Why is he not justified in just simply being like, you know what? Fuck you. You did it. You know what I mean? Go find me. Gifted 5 memberships. Congrats to Lisa Oldhams, Haley Hopes, Roses Are Red, Rachel, Pink Stripe. Thank you so much.
A couple times, which is awesome.
Poor baby.
I mean, imagine. You got a missing daughter, Claire? If you got a missing daughter, you can come up and talk if you want.
Wow. So, because my daughter's not missing, so you're using that, like, you see the little manipulation that he's doing for his chat, because he knows he's being a fucking coward. He knows he's being a coward, and it'll show in just a second, but because this will go on. But it's really funny because he knows he's being a coward, and he's trying to manipulate how his chat views him in that regard, and make himself out to be like he was being empathetic towards Don and saying, I'm letting Don up here because he has a missing daughter and I care, and he has a missing daughter, so let me let Don up. No. You let Don up because you're hoping for the chance to have more content to go over for the next God knows how many weeks, because you're hoping Don is going to say something that you can pick apart and judge him for. In fact, you can almost count on it. That's what Don will most likely do if he goes on any panel on YouTube. It's just easy pickings. And you fucking know it. You don't give a shit about the fact that Don is hurting, that he has a daughter missing. You don't believe he's hurting. You're sitting here talking about how this dude is such a bad dude and such a piece of shit, that now you're saying, well, you know, I have empathy for somebody with a missing daughter, and that's how you end up on my panel. Like, no, bro. Like, if you're going to sit here and trash talk somebody that's in your chat, give him a mic. Because I was like, yeah, well, wait a minute. You're sitting here and you're talking about, because I mean, bottom line is, I'm just going to go live and do the shit myself. That's why I came up here and went live anyway. I mean, he had the opportunity to actually have a man-to-man discussion with me, and he fucking bitched out. Like, his little fucking peanut balls crawled up into his yellow belly. Simple. I mean, there's no denying it. You hear his voice shaking?
Email.
His breath shaking. He's all, like, dude, just me being in your chat is intimidating to you, dude. Like, where are your balls, bro?
Tell me the email me the
like, you could hear him fucking crying. You could hear this voice shaking.
To have you on. No, it's not a call-in show.
Let's look.
Happy to have you on.
Look. Let's play him. I'm gonna play him in slow motion while he says this real quick. I know this is, you're just gonna have to bear with me. Let's get our body language expertise working here, folks.
Email me the email me
the email you what?
Specifics.
The specifics.
I'd be happy to have you on.
Why? So you can prepare? Why not just have a conversation with me. I'm right there. I'm right there. Email me the specifics of what? You want a transcript of what I'm going to say to you before you let me on? Is that what you're saying? Because again, you wouldn't need any preparation if you had any conviction behind anything that you're saying. The fact is you don't even believe the shit you're saying. You just admitted that you have a shit ton of people in your chat that are talking about something, and you're just giving them what they want. You said that earlier. We heard you admit it. So exactly. All he had to do is drop a link. Exactly.
No, it's not a call-in show. Hell no, it's not a call-in show.
Hell no, it's not a call-in show. This is going to be a call-in show, though. I'm going to take a couple of calls.
You guys are funny.
Look at how intimidated he is simply because I asked him to let me on.
It was I barely watched any of it.
This is clearly a yellow-bellied coward.
I barely watched any of it. But you know, when I think about just this whole, these narratives are just insane.
I would have had more respect for him if he would have just blocked me and just went on about his show. But he was trying to convince himself that he's some sort of Barney badass when he's just not.
It's just insane.
Dude, he's got a call-in number at the bottom of the screen.
Claire, I've seen your show and I've seen you debate people. And I'm just telling you, dude, like, I'm not a coward. I'm not scared of you. I don't think that you're like some overly intelligent guy who's going to put me in my place. I don't think any of that. I just
tell me that's not what you think by telling me. Tell me that's what you think by telling me that it's not what you think. Because I didn't imply that I was overly intelligent at all. I mean, these are clearly your opinions of me here. And you're proving that you're scared. Because let's hear the rest of your excuse.
We don't have anything to really talk about. We're on completely different sides of the fence. Okay? So
that's exactly why we should have had a conversation. I mean, if you're so fucking sure about your opinions, if you have so much conviction behind these opinions, why wouldn't you defend them? That's all the more reason for us to discuss it. All the more reason for us to have a conversation. And you're sitting here acting like there's no point to having a conversation. What do you mean? Of course there is. You had 1,000 people watching you. 1,000 people that were there to support you and your narrative. I was in the Shark Tank. I was trying to throw myself into the Shark Tank, dude. And you bitched out. That's the second time this dude has bitched out on me, dude. That's the second time. And he knows he's a bitch. You know how I know he's a bitch is I called in because yes, see that number at the bottom of his screen? I called that number when he had a call-in show. He had Chris McDonough on. Chris McDonough was taking phone calls. And I said, do you remember the statement that he cut in half, by the way, the statement that he cut in half, but I asked Chris McDonough, do you remember that statement? Did you hear that statement that the TBI made about misinformation and about speculation, irresponsible speculation? Don't you think as a former law enforcement agent that you should be held to a higher standard as a YouTube creator to not do that? And don't you think that you contributed to the opinions expressed by this TBI agent that misinformation is being spread? Don't you think that you are in part directly responsible for what the TBI is saying, that the speculation and the misinformation has directly hindered their investigation? And then Chris McDonough lost his shit on me. He basically started crying and was like, oh, look, didn't you hear Don Wells? Didn't you hear about what he did to his sister? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's not what I'm asking, bro. Like, how is that? That has nothing to do with anything. You're accusing the guy of basically murder. Well, no. And then this guy cut me off, hung up the phone. And then, this is the best part. Then he took down the live and edited that part out. He ended the live and then edited that last part out. And that is a fact, because if you go back to that live, you will not be able to see the chat. And that is proof that he edited the video and he cut it off. So this here is the second time that he showed his yellow fucking belly. This is the second time.
So go stream a trial somewhere else and use your tragedy pimp hashtag.
I love that his defense, I love that his insult towards me is that I actually streamed the trial. I love that shit. It shows how clueless this guy really is.
Elsewhere. I'm not for it, my friend. I'm not for it. Oh, I'm sure he'll go live. Why wouldn't he go live? It's great momentum for him. Let's see here. I don't think he's jealous of me, but like,
good call.
I don't think he's jealous of me. I think he just disagrees with me.
No,
and I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
No. I have a very low opinion of your character. It's not just that I disagree with you. I disagree with what you think is moral character as a YouTube creator. That's where we disagree. I think you're a piece of shit. Until you prove otherwise, that's gonna be my opinion of you. I mean, but you're right. I mean, what's there to be jealous of? I mean, if I was jealous of how many subs you have or how many people you have in your chat, well, I would just do the same exact fucking nefarious bullshit that you're doing, wouldn't I? It's easy. What you're doing is easy. It's what we like to call, people of decent character, we like to call low-hanging fruit. That is what you're indulging in, is low-hanging fruit. You're catering to people who are jumping to conclusions without any evidence and just want to point fingers and attack and place blame on someone without any evidence. That is the majority of people. To not do that takes character. And since you are doing it, since you are indulging these people, that shows your lack of character. So no, it's not that, oh, well, I feel this way and you feel that way. So different opinions on the case. No. I'm saying that you're a piece of shit for how you've chosen to talk about this case. Because morally speaking, there hasn't been any developments in this case at all. You run a shit all over Don and Candace campaign. That's what you do. Well, you think all of a sudden one day law enforcement's going to go, well, shit, the lab and Chris McDonough think he's guilty. Better go make an arrest. You think they're just going to get tired of hearing you bitch and then they're going to go make an arrest based on that? No, you don't think that. You just think that people are still going to log on and super chat you for feeding their frenzy of hate and prejudgment. That's all you're expecting to do. You know exactly what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I got no problem with that. How am I going to kick him out?
You can just hide me because you know you'll look like a coward.
Of course.
And remember, he was like, I've seen you before. Remember he said that? Watch this.
Of course. Of course. Everybody that is on YouTube does the same thing. I mean, it's fine. Like, it's not even like, I don't care what anybody else does, like, at all. I don't care at all. Not even a little. Well, I truly don't think that he's creating content, because I think last week he did an entire show about me. So, but who knows? That's fine with me.
I've never done an entire show about him, at least not to my recollection. I've discussed him before, but it's interesting because I've pointed out exactly what he's talking about here. And the reason why he's afraid to hide me is because he'll prove my point of what I've said about him before, that he's a fucking coward. And he's proving it now, and he's just acting like he's not, which is really, really funny. He's proving that he is a coward. He's absolutely proving it. But he's trying to prove to his chat that he's not. It's really fun to watch.
Matter of fact, when people do that, actually, I get more people to my channel, and then they watch.
And here's the thing: is he's telling his chat, he's telling his mods, don't kick him out, don't do this. But they're timing me out like most aggressively. Like barely any of my comments are coming through because I was timed out. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm directly instructing my mods to not quiet someone in my chat, and they're doing it anyway, I'm going to take their wrench. I mean, I just am. I'm not going to just let that happen. So either someone was doing it and he has no control over his moderator team at all whatsoever, or he was doing it himself and just trying to act like he was fucking Mr. Innocent and Mr. Ballsy when he wasn't.
Watching them, they go, oh, he's actually not nearly as bad as you know you're making him out to be. Actually, he's kind of somewhat knows what he's talking about. He puts together sentences okay. He's doing his thing.
Now he's trying
fine with it.
Now he's trying to act like Mr. Classy. I'm classy.
I'm fine with it. But it is good advertisement. Now let's get back to Summer's Day. I don't think that it's like I said, I understand why people think that it's not.
Thank you, Calamity Jade. They may watch, but then they have a seizure from the 1998 Spencer's Gift background. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Spencer's Gift background. I was trying to think, like, what does his fucking background remind me of? It absolutely looks like I fucking walked into Hot Topic, like straight up. But, you know, the 80s version, which is Spencer's Gifts.
A great idea. Sometimes it can come off disingenuous. But people do things for different reasons, and I don't really understand, the bickering about that. I also don't really understand the controversy in this case at all. And by the way, wouldn't you guys? Why are people not just as furious?
You don't understand the controversy in the case. See, what's funny is I don't understand it either. You're creating the controversy because the reality is there is no controversy. A child has gone missing and there's no evidence as to what happened to her. Dickheads like you are making up things and calling it evidence. That's the controversy. You're creating the controversy so that you can benefit from it.
You know, with people that take up for Don and Candace, sight unseen, would follow them to the depths of hell. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine knowing that there's a pair or there's a couple of parents out there who had their children taken, one's missing, and the cops say that they're not cooperating?
Like he's hanging his whole narrative on that.
Is that? Like how is that crazy? Like it's crazy. That's crazy to me.
It's not crazy to you, because I would have put you in. This is why I believe that he wouldn't let me up, because I would have said, play the whole clip and then let's talk about it. Play the whole clip, because he's hanging his entire narrative on Ronnie Lawson saying that they're not cooperating. Right? But no, he knows that if I say play the whole clip where Sheriff Ronnie also says that they lawyered up, well, knowing that they didn't lawyer up, well, that shuts down Sheriff Ronnie Lawson's credibility as far as that statement goes, doesn't it? And you're hanging your whole narrative on this. That's what you just keep saying it over and over again. They're not cooperating. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said that they're not cooperating. The lead investigator on the case says they're not cooperating. But he also said that they lawyered up, and they don't have lawyers. And they have cooperated. How many times was the Wells property searched? How many times have they publicly been on YouTube channels and publicly said that, you know, anything the cops want to know, I'll tell them. I mean, well, Monica, to be fair, not necessarily. You're saying it's been almost 2 years. They would have been arrested by now. I agree with you because I feel that way. So I'm not disagreeing with you completely. I'm just saying it's not necessarily true. It could take 10 years to build a case. You know what I mean? For all we know, it could take 10 years to find the evidence needed. But don't you think that these people would have slipped up by now with all of the public appearances that they've made on YouTube channels? They were on fucking Dr. Phil. I mean,
the parents of a missing child are not cooperating with the investigation.
All right. See, this is, if you're going to say things like that in my chat, you're subject. You're subject to me addressing it, and you may not like it, but you're up here saying, I think she was sold, but that's my opinion. I feel like she's alive. Back that up with some facts. What makes you think that she's sold? What evidence do you have that would indicate to you that she was sold? What are you basing this theory on? Because in this channel, we deal in facts. Can't say things like, well, I think she was sold and that's my opinion. All right, well, what are you basing this opinion on? What are you basing this theory on? What evidence are you basing this theory on? And you're gonna have to give me something better than they indulge in drugs. A lot of people indulge in drugs. They don't sell their kids. They don't even, a lot of them won't even sell their fucking stereo just because they deal in drugs. So just saying, be careful. Here in this chat, you say things like that, you're going to get challenged.
Huh? That's normal? That's acceptable? Why aren't you guys mad about that instead of Summer's Day? That's what people should be mad about. The non-cooperation of Dawn and Candace said, not only by Ronnie Lawson, but TBI. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, but
Oh, so he already knows that he's twisting TBI's word because this already happened. I hadn't even stated my case yet. He avoided me being up there deliberately. Now I can see that he avoided me being up there because he knows I was going to call him out on that. He knows the TBI didn't say it, yet he's still trying to say that they did. And now he's nervous about looking like an asshole with me in his chat, challenging what he's saying. I mean, this is this is the epitome of a tragedy pimp right here. And he's not even good at it. Dude, you're not even good at it. Wow.
But thank you for asking.
Listen to this again.
Let's listen to it again, buddy.
A few months ago, you guys said that the parents were not cooperating anymore. Has there been any changes in that, especially as Don Wells is incarcerated here in this facility?
We're not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit the investigation.
It's a simple answer. Their child is missing. Somebody asks if they're cooperating. They say we're not going to. And this is just 2 months after this was said, which is a real doozy.
The family's still cooperating. I know you said obviously we know Don's there, but like the mother,
what are you talking about, man?
all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now.
So we must be living in bizarro world. We must be living in bizarro world where it's acceptable.
It's not that complicated. We're not living in bizarro world. You're spreading misinformation. You just proved it. I didn't have to prove it. You proved it. You're making my argument for me.
Acceptable for people to take up for the parents of a missing child that are not cooperating with law enforcement. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I don't care what Don and Candace deny, because they deny everything. There's not been one damning thing that has been said about Don and Candace where they go, well, yeah, that's kind of true, until they're put into a corner. They've been working on getting their boys back. Now they're not getting their boys back. Keep moving the post. Move the goal line more and
You
more
need
and more
to shut
and
the
over
fuck
and over
up.
and over. And maybe you're going to hit on something eventually. Then you're going to overblow it and go, well, we were right the whole time. Like this whole Dudley thing. Don, you're a sack of shit for letting Dudley get grilled like that. How in the world is that acceptable?
You mean Dudley? The guy that agreed to trash Don to a bunch of YouTube creators who traveled to Rogersville, Tennessee, and did it for the price of what was it, $300 and a meal and some drinks? Who sold Don out by taking those people to Don's place of employment and so that they could get him fired. That fucking lovely piece of work. I mean, come on, bro. It's like, dude, this is weak. This is fucking weak, dude.
Don Wells said out of his own mouth
Is that all it took was for me to just simply ask you simple questions that challenge your narrative in your chat for you to get so intimidated and start stumbling over your shit, your own shit? That's all it took was for me to just type simple questions in your chat for you to fucking stumble over yourself and shit yourself and prove my argument yourself? I didn't even have to do it. I didn't even have to do it.
Dudley has a alibi. And we're still on the Dudley train?
So does Don.
The tree trimmers? Not the people that law enforcement says, hey, they're not cooperating, folks. Come on. It's
You serious?
It's bananas. I'm totally confused.
Clearly.
I mean, are we playing devil's advocate just to do it? There's a little girl that is missing. Her name's Summer Wells. And I'm telling you, if this was your family member, say Summer was your niece. Excuse me. Yeah, so your niece. And your brother or sister was acting the way that Don and Candace were acting. You'd be okay with that? Or is it just okay because they're really just kind of internet figures? They kind of float, around, and sometimes they act sad or mad or disgruntled, and sometimes they go on lives and say the N-word. Sometimes they assault each other live on the air. Sometimes they play pranks on family members. Sometimes they do drugs on live. Sometimes they go to the bathroom on live.
And what does that have to do with?
But Don's okay with it.
What does that?
Don was fine with letting other people get dragged, and now I'm hearing that there's this conversation between who is it? Andy and his son, and people are like, it's like the weirdest little. It's just the weirdest thing. Look, I would talk to the guy. But it's been said that he has an alibi. Hasn't that been said over and over?
Oh.
Hasn't that been said over and over and over? And the other day, how Don says, well, Candace was the one that called 911 first. Well, it sure didn't sound like it. Maybe she did call. I don't know if she did or not. But you would think you would think that the one that was at the house with the kids would be the one to call 911 first. And from that dispatch sound, it sure doesn't sound like it. It sure doesn't sound like it to me.
I mean, like, why? Okay. Why would somebody jump to the conclusion? Who does that? Nobody does that. Almost no one in the world just jumps to call 911. Because let me tell you something, that would seem more suspicious to me anyway. To me, if Candace immediately saw, oh shit, my child isn't right here, let me call 911, I'd be like, wait a minute, you didn't look for her? You didn't call her father to see if maybe he came and picked her up for whatever reason that you may not have been aware of? You didn't try to cover every single possibility before you jumped to the conclusion that the child was missing? I mean, because what are the cops going to tell you when they show up? They're going to go, well, when was the last time you saw her? Did you call this person? Do you know if this person may have come and picked her up? Is there any way that maybe, I mean, so if she would have called 911 right away, people would have been like, well, that's suspicious. Why didn't she call Summer's dad and look for her and ask around where she might have been? I mean, it's unbelievable, dude. This guy's a fucking douche.
And you know, this whole what evidence, what this, what that, you know, what evidence? What evidence? What about just the sketchy ass attitude of Candace not wanting to talk to the police?
But she did talk to the police many times.
What about that? What about that?
What about that?
Is that normal? Now, I didn't say that. Now, her at the time best friend. I'm sure they're not friends anymore, and I couldn't imagine why they would still be friends. But her at the time best friend. LJ, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate you. Educated opinion. I feel the same. I think she's. Look, I would talk to the guy. Full answer. Their child is missing. Huh? Can you imagine? Okay, how am I going to kick him out of your show? And All right,
I got to hear that one more time.
That's fine. And by the way, missing child. And Candace, somebody asks if that are not cooperating and over, and maybe say Summer was sometime. It's like the weirdest little alibi. Hasn't it?
Sorry, I'm trying to find that one little
place. I don't think any of that. I just we don't have anything to really talk about. We're on completely just disagree. The bickering about that. Can you imagine that? Had their children taken. How? Like, this is crazy. Huh? That's normal? That's acceptable? Why aren't you guys mad about that instead of Summer's day? Of Dawn. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, not only by Ronnie Lawson, but of Dawn and Candace said, not only by Ronnie Lawson, but TBI. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, but let's just listen. But TBI. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, but let's just listen. But TBI. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, but let's just listen. Lawson, but TBI. Okay, maybe TBI didn't say it, but let's just listen.
Good, the investigation, but thank you for asking.
Listen to this. Again.
A few months ago, you guys said that the parents were not cooperating anymore. Has there been any changes in that, especially as Don Wells is incarcerated here in this facility?
We're not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit the investigation.
It's
Yeah, dude. It's like you just proved to everyone that you are completely and totally full of shit. Like seriously, your entire narrative is hanging on the information that you just admitted was misinformation? What? What? All right, people. I think I've had enough of homie tonight. But yeah, you're definitely on my radar from now on, Josh. You should have talked to me, dude. We could have probably settled this like men. I offered, you declined, and then you proved my point without me even having to be up there. So uh thanks for that. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. All you guys, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Those of you who hung out with me all day, man, you're amazing. I really appreciate it. And I'm going through a little bit of stuff personally right now, so I haven't really been able to go live much. But today I was able to go live quite a bit. Mostly it was on Queen Bee's panel, but I those of you that hung out with me through all of that, I really appreciate it. I had a great day on YouTube for the most part, as far as trying to clear things up. I realized that there are some things that were talked about where we had to just kind of agree to disagree. I get all that. But I'm glad I was able to at least address certain things with certain people and discuss things regardless of what they may think of me after the fact. But I'm grateful that I was able to at least speak to these people directly and get a better understanding of what was going on, and hopefully they also understood a little bit more of where the concern was for this Summer's Day thing. So but I think we've proven today that there's a difference between decent people who just simply differ in opinions and douchebags who have little baby balls drawn back up into their yellow little bellies. Big difference. Anyways, guys, I love you very much. We will do this again very soon, my friends.